Hey, what's going on, resellers? Welcome back to Lava City Threads. I'm Alvarez. I'm a full-time clothing and shoes reseller. We've got a lot to cover today. We're going to go over a ton of what sold items over the last week or so. A lot of men's, women's. This is both vintage and common brands. We've got some bolos too, some bangers. And I'm dabbling a little bit in kids' clothes. We have a couple of those sales I want to show you guys and get your thoughts on that. We've got some shoes that we also sold, but lots of brands. So stick around for that. One note, I want you to stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to do a giveaway. You guys have been awesome, subscribing, leaving me comments, and just being really cool all around. So I kind of want to give back. I'm going to give away a free item. And all you have to do is answer a question. It's just a little fun trivia thing I'm going to do here, and we'll see how you do with it. And if you nail it, I'm going to give you a $50 item to resell free. I'll ship it to you, no problem. You'll dig it. Let's get into the what's sold and stick around to the end to see what that's all about. Okay, so first up we have this new Cabela's Realtree Hardwoods Camo Bib. Again, I just posted this a couple weeks ago. I sold this, it took 60 days to sell, right? So 2 months, but that was when I was starting to test out some of my hunting and fishing gear. And it took about 60 days to sell, which sounds about right because this is about August when my hunting and fishing stuff will start to pick up. As I mentioned 100 times, I'm in Central Oregon, so we have a lot of outdoor activities here. So I'm able to pick these up at really good cost of goods. I was able to get this for $2. As you know, my average cost of goods, and that'll be pretty consistent unless I mention otherwise through all of these items that we're going to take a look at. My average cost of goods is $2. So these I picked up $2, and this was at a storage locker sale is where I got this. Anyway, so this sold for $57. I listed it for $80, sold it for $57, and it actually was a bundle. They also bought another camo shirt with it. So sold for $57, and then the camo shirt sold for $12, and I sold that in 60 days. Here's the tag you're looking for here, Cabela's. This was new, by the way, so that's why I got a little bit more for it. You can see the tags here on it, but camo gear, start getting that out there if you've got it. Hunting, fishing, get it going. Next up, we have this pair of Wrangler regular fit jeans. Men's pretty bad size. This is a 40-29. Just goes to show you that a lot of Wrangler styles do sell. I usually sell the WMZs pretty well. Those are more of a bread and butter, and these can be a bread and butter if you can find them. I don't find this particular style that often. Here it is right here, 855 SHQD. Make sure you're looking at these tags here and looking them up. Not all Wranglers sell as well as others, so make sure you're looking this up here. You're looking for regular fit, older models. You're looking for faded styles. Nothing too skinny. Boot cuts, you want boot cuts, and you should usually get rid of them between $20 and $30. Again, my cost of goods is $2, so mileage will vary. Next up, we have this vintage Rothko BDU jacket. This is a tiger stripe one. I'm getting better and better at recognizing the types of camos that sell well for me, and tiger stripes or anything a little bit outside of your normal camouflage can do really well, especially if it's vintage and the right brands. This is a vintage Rothko, and I listed this for $50 there, and I took an offer on it for $40. I usually take offers that are 20% or better. You're going to want to remember that for the end of this video on the giveaway, okay? Because that's going to come into play for the question that I'm asking in order for you to win the giveaway. Next up, we have this pair of Oakley combat boots. And these are leather. These are the Elite Forces ones, Special Forces ones, and they were a size 9.5, pretty good size. Listed them for $102, and they sold for $97 on an offer, and I sold them in 56 days. Anytime you can find these kind of Special Forces, Elite Standard combat boots, give them an extra look. Even if they're a little bit worn and beat up, these ones weren't in the best condition. But even Oakley, Oakley in general isn't a great brand for me. I don't usually do that great with Oakley, but Oakley boots in this particular style, and there it is, you can kind of see it there, Elite Special Forces. Give them an extra look. Next up, and oh my gosh, look at these horrid pictures. Patagonia, but it's vintage, right? It's a vintage Patagonia canvas shirt. Listed it for $33.97. I'm embarrassed to be showing this to you guys. Sold for 27 bucks. But, you know, some of you are wondering, I wonder if he irons his shirts. No, he doesn't iron them. He doesn't steam them. They are, you get what you get, but that's okay. They sold pretty fast, right? What did I get rid of this for? Got rid of this in 68 days. Sold it for 24 bucks. Listed it for 33, so I took an offer. Vintage Patagonia will just go. So, you know, this is more about systems and saving time, which clearly I decided to do here. The problem, of course, as you can see also, is the photography is horrid. You're not getting a really straight color here. What is this? Peach, orange, gray, looks like spit out chewing gum. Anyway, somebody picked it up, so I probably could have got more, right? If I wanted to spend a little bit more time on that. Obviously, I was in a rush this particular day, so we all have those days, it would seem. And this was my day, is what it looks like. Men's XL. There's my ugly finger and the tag that you're looking for, but make sure you're looking it up, because if it's a vintage Patagonia piece, it could go and do pretty well for you. Not all Patagonia is doing fantastic, but as we do move into the fall and winter months, it does tend to do better for me, especially the long sleeve sweaters and so forth, the winter stuff. Okay, next up we have a North Face jacket. Again, you're starting to see a little bit of a trend here, more long sleeves, the thicker boots, pants. You know, I'll also show you some shirts and some kind of some dresses and things like that are also going. But fall and winter starting to pop. Here we go, North Face jacket. This sold in 4 days. And I had listed it for 27, and I got asking. The reason that I took a low price here on this, or listed it, there's the tag you're looking for, is this here. It had a light blemish right around the zipper here. Make sure you're pointing those out so you're not dealing with any returns later on. So I took a discount on it, but it was still worth it. Only picked it up for $2. So always look up North Face. North Face doesn't do as good, you know, same with Patagonia, similar to Patagonia, North Face and Patagonia. You know, I get that attitude of either of those really selling well, but I always tend to get that attitude as you kind of go through summer, and by the end of the summer, you're just like, oh, Patagonia, North Face. And then all of a sudden, of course, the fall and winter months start picking up, and so does North Face and Patagonia. So then I change my attitude until about February of next year, where I start going, oh, North Face and Patagonia. So anyway, it can be style dependent. You know, I don't like to pick up North Face like t-shirts anymore, which those used to sell pretty well. Bread and butter, $20. You could usually get rid of those, but now they're so saturated in like the t-shirts and kind of the lighter stuff that I don't really mess with them that much anymore. And that's kind of year round. So, but anyway, North Face jackets coming up, especially this is like a soft shell one, did pretty well. Here's a vintage polo shirt. Okay, I think this is just unbranded, right? It's a polo long sleeve, but I dig these here's kind of a better look at it. I used AI back on this one because I just thought it might look cool, and it kind of does. And it's got that pointed long sleeve, retro disco dagger collar. This is a dagger collar right here, the pointed collar. And I just love picking these up. Anytime I can pick up vintage 60s, 70s, 80s, kind of disco-y polyester shirts, I just like them. And I tend to get rid of them pretty quick. Sometimes I can do pretty well with them. This one wasn't a great sale. It was 27 bucks. And sold it for 27 bucks, and it took about 80 days. So that's still good. Anything you can sell under 90 days is pretty fantastic. And I want you to kind of take a note of that too for the giveaway that I'm going to do at this end of this video, because sell-through rate, or my store sell-through rate, how fast I sell items, is very important. And one more note to that is, if you watch the last video where I went over all my finances and did a deep dive into my business model, my profit targets, and how I'm reaching six figures this year. As I go through that, I also discuss how fast I move all of my items, and I tell you about how fast my items sell within 90 days, 90 to 180 days, and 180 days plus. That's going to come into play at the end here for this giveaway. And hey, I don't have a ton of subscribers, by the way, so you have a pretty good chance of winning this item. So make sure you stick around and check that out. Okay, next up we have this pair of Ariat Ivy Bit Cruiser loafers. Ariat, you know, what can I say? If you know, you know. I pick up a lot of Ariat, and it always moves, and it can move anywhere from 20 bucks all the way up to 80 bucks. It really depends what it is. Ariat boots especially, you're going to get higher prices. Ariat shoes, I'm picking them up. Even these like kind of weird looking loafers here, these bit loafers. Listed them for 35 and we sold them for 35, and it only took 9 days. Pretty nice condition, pretty nice pickup. That was, I think this was $3. I don't have it written here for some goofy reason, but I'm pretty sure I picked these up for $3. So, and I got them at a thrift store, so I caught them slipping for sure. And this is one of those thrift stores, those smaller thrift stores. Always be looking for those kids in the back who are doing all the pricing, who they slip up on stuff. So they saw the loafers, probably didn't see the logo sitting right there on the inside, and priced them for like $3 or $4. And so next up, like I said, I've been dabbling. I always recommend. Let me caveat this. I always recommend that if you're a new reseller, give yourself a year in a particular gender or type. Like I spent at least 2 years in men's clothing alone, just staying in there and really working those brands and really getting to know them. And I'm telling you, after 3 to 6 months, you're gonna start feeling like, I got this, I'm good. I can start exploring women's, or I can start exploring kids. I wouldn't do it. I would really stick with men's. If you want to start with women's, by all means, do that. That's a little more difficult, a lot more difficult. I ended up getting into women's only like a year ago, and it's been a difficult ride, but I've been getting better and better at it now that I've added women's. And now that I feel pretty strong in women's, not the best, but pretty strong, women's has a lot of brands, right? Tons of different brands, and you really got to stay close to what's trending to get better at women's clothing. But now that I've got that pretty good, and I feel pretty confident about it, I'm starting to dabble now in kids stuff. Gently. I'm talking like I'm picking one piece up every few weeks and just trying it. And so anyway, here's one of those. This is just a mini Bowden full zip hoodie. I just thought it was really cute. Mini Bowden. I sell like women's Bowden dresses, so I was like, okay, I'll try it. You know, and you want to comp it, and the comps were okay. They weren't great, but I just wanted to see how I would do. And I just love the fact that I can take kids stuff, file it into my inventory, and it takes up little to no space, right? What is this, like a 6" by 6" by 1" poly mailer that I stick into a box? And so I could have sat on this forever, but I didn't, and I sold it for I listed it for $24.97, and I sold it for $23.73, $23.72. That's a strange offer, but I guess I took it for $23.72 for some reason, and it sold in 11 days, so not bad. Keep an eye on that. Next up, if you're an 80s or 90s kid, you get this vintage Guess denim shorts. And I just saw someone. I was at a fairgrounds yesterday, and I saw somebody with a pair of vintage Guess on. How did I know? Because you can see by this. Gosh, you guys get caught in public always looking at people's clothes. What sucks is if it's like, you know, if I'm looking around, I mean, clearly I'm looking at this woman's butt yesterday. But I'm looking at her pants, right? So you're just always checking out styles and stuff. And it's a fairground, so you've just got like thousands of people to look at to see what styles. It's anytime you can go out into large public places to watch clothes, it's a great idea. You can get a lot out of it, as did I yesterday. But, you know, I just don't, it's always a little bit awkward and uncomfortable when somebody catches you checking out their pants. And you're really like, no, I'm just looking at the brand. Sure you are, dude. Anyway, vintage Guess denim shorts. Listed them for $36.97, sold them for $33.27, and they sold in 10 days. So pretty nice pickup. Guess is pretty tricky. Really vintage is where you want to go if you're messing around with Guess. And the older the better, and it does go. There are still people who are in the market for that. Here's the tags here, by the way, that you're looking for. Those three there. Next up, we've got this is kind of a cool one. I try to look, anytime you can find these kind of manga and anime shirts out there, pause for a second and take an extra look at them and look them up. I'm trying to get better in the habit of doing that because I was previously, as you can see some of the shirts down here, right? Like Dragon Ball Z and I don't know what the hell that is or what the hell that is. I don't know this stuff. I don't know what it is, but I can recognize anime and manga to go, okay, stop. I used to pass on those all the time. I don't anymore, because every once in a while you'll look it up and you'll go, oh, this is something special. And I could tell there was something special going on with this, just because on the front here, this logo here was actually embroidered on the front. And I thought, well, you know, usually they mass produce these things for the kids, right? Embroidering it, I thought might have been something. So was there a tag on this? Yeah, so Hashira Studios, there's the tag. And there's the graphic, and I could just tell it looked old. It was slightly faded. The kids like faded stuff. And so I looked it up, and anyway, Full Metal Alchemist is a pretty common anime show. I don't know. Movie? Maybe one of you guys knows. But anyway, I looked it up, and this particular one is actually very rare. So I had listed it for 90 bucks. And because I couldn't find many comps, I think there was one sold that I found for like 150 bucks. So, you know, I priced mine at 90 and it went for 84.62 and it went in 38 days. So not bad. Make sure you're looking that stuff up. Here's a pair of vintage Terry manufacturing cargo pants. And these are this is FR, right? Fire resistant. Always take an extra look at any FR pants you find in most brands, especially if they're vintage. When you can find something that's also like from a department, like here you go. Like you find something that has a similar patch that looks like this. It's a Wildland firefighting protective garment. It meets certain requirements. These are things that are not only vintage, or can be vintage, but they are used by government agencies and so forth. So these can be worth a lot of money, and people are looking out for this kind of stuff. And this was part of the USDA Forest Service department. And so I looked them up and was like, whoa. These go well. The comps were awesome, obviously. I listed it for 98 bucks and it sold for 83. And here's the thing, I was finding comps up in the 150 area. It's like 120 to like 150. I wanted to move it fast, put it out for 98, 97. I might have moved it too fast. I was sniped. They took it for 83 bucks on an offer, same day. And I think it was like within hours, so. Keep an eye on that. Here's what you're looking for there. But you know, and these are the ones you pass up all the time, right? Like you're probably right now going, ooh, I just saw one in a thrift store, because a lot of people in thrift stores don't really know what they're looking at, and this isn't necessarily something the average consumer in a thrift store is buying to wear. These are a specialty kind of pants that the kids are looking for, the kids in the know, and also people who collect this kind of stuff. Okay, and let's moving on. Here's a pair of Allegria Heidi ankle boots. I actually thought these were going to go a little bit faster. How fast did they go? These went in 80 days. I was really surprised because I picked these up and I think I paid up. When I say paid up, I paid like $4 or $5 for these. So these were Allegria Heidi ankle boots. They were just really nice and they had some cool hits on them. You know, these little interesting buttons, and it had this kind of textured floral look. But they took 80 days to sell. I did get a good price on them though, 58 bucks. And what did I sell them for? I sold them for 52 on an offer. So 52 bucks on those. Always take an extra look at Allegria. Though I want to say Allegria usually does take a little while for me. And when I say a little while, I'm thinking like a month to 3 months to sell, which is still amazing. Again, guys, it's still an amazing sell-through rate, so don't be discouraged about that. There's the bottoms there. Yeah, and they're like in pretty new condition too, so weird. Keep an eye out for those. Next up is an REI cooperative sweater. I don't usually pick up a lot of REI, but what you are looking for is the co-op tag, or cooperative here. It says here, I don't know why it says cooperative. That's AI messing around there. But here's a tag you're looking for. Oh, well, I guess it does. Why did I think it said REI co-op? I think some of them do say REI co-op. So look around for REI co-op or REI cooperative and take an extra look at them, because that particular brand of REI tends to do well for me. And this one really was a beautiful sweater. It was really thick and it had a nice substantial feel to it. And listed that for $28, sold for 28 bucks, and it sold the same day. I should have went higher on this, honestly, probably about 35, 36 bucks in hindsight, but it was a great pickup. Only got it for $2, so I'm not complaining. Next up, we have this Anthro Odile Rose Applique skirt, applique skirt, women's cotton silk blend. You know, I was going to grab this on Style alone, but then I did look up the tag, and there it is right there, and found out that it was a Anthro brand, so that helps. And then I saw the silk blend in there, and you know, no brainer. Picked it up for a couple bucks. Listed it for 35, and it sold for 33, 32. Pretty cool skirt. Keep an eye out for that one. Levi's 550. Nothing special, but keep an eye out for this here. There's your little bat wing up there. Made in Mexico, 550, relaxed fit, decent size, 36, 32. So that probably helped it here. A little bit baggy, relaxed fit. So good pickup there. I picked it up for $2. This 550s listed them for $29.97, and they went for $29. They went for $29. Oh, and they went over at Whatnot. You'll notice some of these when I show you guys what sold, and it just says ended here. You're probably looking for the sold label. That's only because I can't show you it over on Whatnot. They don't have the same ability to show you a big picture of it. So I'm just going over to eBay and showing you that one. But it ended on eBay because it sold on Whatnot. And speaking of which, I cross-list. I use Nifty. Nifty is an excellent cross-listing platform. If you have over, say, 200 items in your store, be sure to check them out so that way you can list on multiple platforms. I have a link below which has a discount. Make sure you check that out. Don't get confused if you go down there right now, because you're going to see rules to that contest that's coming up at the end of this video. So just check out the Nifty part, but stick around for the giveaway coming up here shortly. And here's just a kind of a cool shirt. I just thought it was a neat graphic. Smith Rogue, didn't know anything about him. White crow top. It's got this graphic with the crow with the hat on it. And listed that for $20. Sold it for $20. Sold in 18 days. So here's a tag. Smith Rogue. Guess that's a seller. Next up, who doesn't want a Sasquatch on a bicycle t-shirt? You know, no brainer to me. I just thought it was kind of cool. Picked it up. Dark Cycle again. Probably a similar sell. Yeah, 35 days. Sold, listed it for 20. Sold it for 20. Cost me $2. I'll take it. There's the tag you're looking for. Next up, we have a Tommy Hilfiger jeans. Women, these are size 12, so I like the bigger sizes if I'm gonna pick up Tommy Hilfiger. These are Tribeca straight ankle. They did okay, but I want to say these ones took a while to sell. Here we go, and they sold the same day. So I'm wrong. I don't know what I'm probably thinking of another pair. Anyway, Tommy Hilfiger listed them for 25. They sold for 25, so I probably could have gotten more for these. And here they are there. I'm always, you know what, it's funny because I have this problem with Tommy Hilfiger all the time. I rarely, I make mistakes on Tommy Hilfiger. Let's just say that. So I'm getting better at Tommy Hilfiger. I've got to get better at Tommy Hilfiger. I get confused sometimes with their vintage and non-vintage, and they're kind of a difficult brand for me. If you have any tips and tricks for Tommy Hilfiger in particular, let me know. I am an 80s, 90s kid, Gen X, so Tommy Hilfiger was a thing for a lot of other kids. Not me. It was never my thing, but you know, I watched it, so I'm just trying to think of all those big kind of color block Tommy Hilfiger giant sweaters and those things. If I see that, it's kind of a no-brainer. I will grab those, but you know, then I get confused on things like jeans. But anyway, okay, enough about me being a goofball. Here we go, some Eddie Bauer cargo capris. These were a no-brainer for me. Thick, substantial feel to them. Blue Mercer fit. Utility outdoor workwear. Listed them for $28.97, and they went for $26.07 on an offer, and they only took 9 days. Again, guys, if you guys are noticing a trend here, fall and winter, more pants are coming up. Even my capris, but these are pretty thick. Here's the label you're looking for. These are pretty thick jeans, and so they had a strong feel. So they're actually kind of that nice transition from summer into fall jeans for the garden or whatever going out. This was a really cool one and a new brand to me. And if you haven't seen it before, now you know. Here's your bolo for sure, the Hippie Shake. Look for this label. When I looked it up in the comps, and I just grabbed this out of nowhere, I mean, it felt kind of cool. It definitely looked kind of cool, but I just thought it was one of those, you know, weird retro pieces, you know, maybe some kind of fast fashion. It's not. The Hippie Shake is a sought-after brand, and this has that, you know, that mod 70s retro look to it. It's belted, very cool piece. Here's a tag again you're looking for. I listed that thing for 98 bucks, and it sold in 12 days on an offer for 89. Again, I will take offers up to 20%. You're gonna want to remember that in a few minutes. And here up we have the American Eagle baggy wide leg jeans. Okay, American Eagle, right? Bread and butter for me if they're baggy. If you have the flair to them. I don't care if they're a little bit chewed up and distressed. The kids love this stuff. They pick them up all the time. And now we're heading back into school. So make sure you guys are looking up American Eagle in certain brands, in certain styles. The super high rise, baggy, wide leg, you can't go wrong. Listed them for 30 and I got 30 for them, and it only took 26 days. Not bad there. Next up, we have some Levi's Denim Western Pearl Snap. I just like denim. I'm a sucker for denim. I'll pick up denim all the time in many brands, especially if it's an XL. You know, it didn't matter to me if this was vintage or not. It did have the pearl snaps. It had the sawtooth kind of thing going up here. Here's another one of those kids brands I was telling you about, kid testers. And both of the kid testers that I had up went pretty fast, and this is one of them. This is the Matilda Jane. I didn't know anything about this, but I sent a picture to my girlfriend before I picked it up, and she recognized it right away as Matilda Jane, and she said, yeah, go ahead and grab them. So I did. I took a shot on them. Cost me $2 and listed them for 23, and they went for 23. So listed them for 23, sold for 23 in 8 days. So again, I'm just testing kids stuff. You let me know how you're doing with those. And if there's any brands I need to look out for, by all means, please let me know down below. Here's the tags, by the way. I don't know. I thought they were cute. Next up, we have these bare bottom stretch chino shorts. Khaki. Nothing special here, but bare bottom does well. This is the brand you're looking for. This is, I'm not going to say it's a bolo, but it's definitely a brand you want to look out for. I don't see them often, but when I do find them, I think I've only found them like 2 or 3 other times. They've all sold pretty quick and for reasonable money. These are shorts here for 26 bucks that I listed them for, and they sold for $24.77 on an offer, and it took 36 days. Here's a really cool one. I really enjoyed this one. I wish I could have kept it. If it was in my size, I would have kept it. It's a vintage luau Hawaiian shirt, and this was from the 50s or 60s. I think it was from the 50s, is from what I was able to find. It's a medium. It's 100% rayon, so it had that really nice, loose, silky feel to it. There's the front there. Really nice graphics on it. Listed it for $48.97. Sold for $46.97. I think that was just on sale. That wasn't on an offer. A couple of these that you're noticing, I'm saying it's sold and the price is really close by like $1 or $2. That's probably from a sale, not from an offer. Most people don't offer you $2 less than the price, right? As you know. So that's probably from a sale. I'm sure I had this one on sale for 10%. And again, it says ended here, but that's only because it was sold over on Whatnot. And I'm not able to pull it up there. I had to pull it up here so you guys could see it. Okay, we're getting closer to that giveaway, so stick around. Next up, we have this vintage Dress Barn shirt. This was a no-brainer to me. It had a couple things going for it, a few things going for it. Obviously, the first and foremost, like I just told you, is denim. Oh, look at it. I decided to keep the little tag on there. That's ridiculous. Okay, denim. Love denim. Dress Barn. It's old. It's vintage Dress Barn. And we're going back to school, so there's a lot of teachers out there who probably, it's probably a teacher who picked this up. Listed it for $36.97, and it sold for $34.97 again. So that's only a couple bucks difference. So I'm sure she got it on sale, and that was over on Etsy. And so listed for 36, sold for 34, and it only took 3 days. So nice one there. There's the tag you're looking for. Had some like cool embroidery there, school stuff. So hopefully I made a teacher happy out there. Here's a vintage Pietro Bernini dress, women's size 8, hot pink, silk, jacquard 80s. I don't know, those keywords. So I just couldn't get this one to balance right? Terrible picture. Ugh. But you know, thankfully somebody saw through that, looked at the tag. They know that brand. People are into Pietro Bernini 80s pieces, and this is 100% silk. So you know you can't go wrong there on an 80s piece. Oof. Just for me personally, atrocious. But if you remember the 80s, boy, did you see this a lot. This just looks like one of those newscasters from the 80s, or I don't know, somebody on a yacht like Fantasy Island or something. It was Fantasy Island 70s or 80s, late 70s. I don't know. I love that show. The plane. Come on, it was awesome. Okay, Pietro Bernini listed it for $58.97. Gosh, some of you are young and probably going, what the hell is he talking about? Vintage Pietro Bernini dress, women's 8. This sold in 3 days for $53.07. I think that was an offer on that one. So make sure you're checking out those vintage dresses. And right now, Maxis is where I'm kind of going a little bit more on the Maxi side, because we are transitioning out of summer. So okay, so Buffalo Bitten Jackson's, a bread and butter piece. You know, I see these all the time too. So I think like resellers are passing up on these constantly, because Buffalo David Bitten used to sell really well like a few years ago, and it's dropped off like considerably. But these Jacksons, I don't know, they're all over the place all the time. If you have a low cost of goods, they're worth the pickup. Listen, you're not picking these up for $5, $6, $7, $8. Okay, so if that's your cost of goods, don't bother. But if you're like you hit the bins or something, and you can get these for $1, $2 all day long. Sold for $20. And what they sell in? Sold for $22. So I got asking. They sold in 77 days, so that's still under 90. That's still pretty strong, and that's pretty common. Next up, some REI Co-op. Again, look at, there's that Co-op. I was telling you earlier it was cooperative, but you know what? I think the tag still says cooperative. Yeah, I think I just call them Co-op for some reason. But anyway, REI Cooperative, jogger pants, nothing special here. A couple zippers and whatnot, but REI Co-op usually does well for me. It can be pretty bread and butter unless you get some pretty cool styles, and then you can get a lot more for it. These were listed for 21. I got 21, and I got it in 18 days. So keep an eye out for that cooperative. Here's a vintage 80s leather biker jacket, size 44T, and these are black. It's a black belted moto, punk rock, heavy. Make sure you're getting all those keywords in there. This reminded me instantly when I saw it of the kind of late 80s and 90s punk rock scene. And I listed it for $97. I think I could have gotten a little bit more for it. You'll see down here what some of these guys will do with it, right? They'll rack it up with like pins and whatnot. So yeah, it was a good size too, 44T. Oh, I tried it on. That's like my size. And felt too goofy in it, so decided to list it anyway. 97.17. I'm not going through a midlife crisis. 97.19, and it sold in 63 days. Okay, so again, as a thank you, I want to do a quick giveaway. This is a Lava City giveaway. First, here's a draft of an item. I'm about to show it to you here in a second that I'm going to list on August 10th. Okay, this is just an item that I sourced. I'm going to go ahead and list it in my stores. You have until then to guess the following simple question. How many days will it take to sell? Simple. If you guess the number right on the day it sells, I'm going to send you a link to all of my clothing and shoes that I have for sale on all my platforms. You can tell me what platform you'd like to shop on, and I'll give you a link to that. And you get to pick anything you want from that store that's $50 or less. And there's tons on there for $50 or less, okay? And that could be a deeply discounted piece at that point. Or maybe it's something that I listed too low. I list under market value all the time. Maybe it's a piece that you sell really well that I don't. So you might have a piece that you can sell for $100 and you're going to get it to me for the low cost of goods of $0. So I will be shipping that to you for free. Just for being a subscriber and watching the channel. The thread to post your answer and rules are posted below, okay? So, and there are some rules. Please try to follow them, because if you don't, I'm unfortunately not gonna be able to give this away. Let me show you the item that I'm gonna sell. All you have to do is tell me how many days it will take to sell when I list it on August 10th, okay? So I didn't pick it randomly, but I did just try to, I wanted to pick something that was pretty common, or something that you could probably get a pretty good guess on if you're a beginner or if you're an experienced reseller. So here it is. It's a North Face full zip sweater, men's, medium, green, striped. It's a wool blend, but it's part of the A5 series. It's important to, when you do your research on this really quick before coming back and giving me your guess, if that's what you want to do, or if you just want to guess, if you already know, this is going to sell in 5 days. This is going to sell in the same day. This is going to sell in 180 days. It's up to you, whatever you decide. But I'm going to give you a quick look at it here. It's in really good condition. It's a full zip here. Here's the tag. Here's my SKU down here. My cost of goods was $2 on this. And here's something important before you guess, right? Because you're going to want to know this before you guess. I am listing it for $34.97. So if you decide to do your comps and look this up, that's what I'm selling mine for. So we're going back over here at Nifty, and let's take a look at the items that I have, some items that I have listed for $50 and less, right? So you'll be able to go through my stores and pick out any one of these, and I'm going to ship it to you for free if you get this right. Here's the Cariuma low top sneakers. We've got Polo Ralph Lauren here. We've got Sundance. We've got some J. Jill, Peruvian Connection. Sometimes people list this higher. For higher prices, I will give it to you for absolutely free. You got some Air Jordans there. Those are a little bit beat up, but they're old Air Jordans. They're pretty cool. Vintage Carhartt, pretty thrashed, but the kids love thrash. Helly Hansen, awesome brand. Yours for free if you get it right. Tech Sport Hunting, Converse, some Chucks. These are some nice ones. These are kind of those lift high ones. Some Mizzen and Mains, more Jordan stuff, Poetry. Another one of those vintage Japanese shirts like we were looking at earlier. This one might be worth more, actually. I don't know. Look at that. We have a cool turtleneck sweater. I know for a fact I underpriced this one. So cool turtleneck sweater can be yours for free. Citizens of Humanity. We've got some vintage Sears. If you've been watching me at all, you know I love my vintage Sears. You can win that. Again, I don't have a ton of subscribers, guys, so just make a guess. Just all I ask is that you subscribe, make your guess, and you're in. Vintage Nike Racing windbreaker. We've got some hand-tailored scarves, more vintage Levi's, L'Oreal Ashley. Anyway, I'm going to give you a link. Here's some Smartwool. Smartwool's a great brand. True Spec Camo. So, that's a cool jacket. I think I definitely listed that under fair market value. Yours for free. Anthro, right? I have a lot of Anthro, probably 50 and under. I probably have a ton of Anthro, different styles. Anyway, more and more some Allegria. We just saw how fast I sold some Allegria recently. I've got some Viore here, right? Who doesn't want some free Viore? That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao for now.